how way, ay, 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 ay. How we up, ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 how way, ay, 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 ay.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Bridge. I'm your host, Kira Young, and you've reached me on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We are simulcasting all over the place tonight. As usual, we're simulcasting with Real Liberty Media, and we're also simulcasting with People's Internet Radio tonight. So welcome everybody. It is the 29th of October, 2016, and tonight we're talking about No Dakota Access Pipeline events. This was an extremely active week. We're going to tell you about everything that happened this week, and we're going to be talking to people that were there, right there in the middle of it. The laws that we're seeing violated by the police right now is treaty law, constitutional protections like freedom of assembly guaranteed by the Constitution for American citizens. Also disregarded is the long history of civil disobedience. When we run into laws that are immoral, it's our right to face that tyranny down by resisting and by not complying. That's our right to do that. In addition, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act has also been violated. When you pull people out of a sweat lodge at gunpoint and arrest them, you're doing something wrong. So without further ado, I'm going to try to get in touch with, tonight we have Nuŋpa, and we have Zephyr, Elise, and we have Didi on. So let me give them a call. Let's see.
Hello.
Hi, Nuŋpa. Welcome back to the bridge.
Hey, Kira. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate and feel it to be an honor every time you have me on the show.
And I'm honored to have you on the show, and it's really, really good to hear your voice, and we're glad that you're back in camp safely.
Yes, thankfully. One of the best sights I ever saw was coming out of the Burleigh County Jail last night and seeing a Cheyenne River Sioux tribal van sitting there waiting to pick us up. And I am a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, proudly so. And we were greeted with prayers and driven to a place where there was things to eat and drink, and then we made our way back to camp late last night. We got back about midnight or so, my niece and I, Zephyr. And it's been one of the most incredible weeks of all of our lives, those of us who have been here. Starting with last Saturday, and the action that happened last Saturday, and continuing on right up into this very moment, Kira.
Yeah.
I'd like to share right away with the listeners that spiritually this camp is stronger than ever. We are fighting, we are resisting in a good way. We are standing together as much as possible as one. Orville Looking Horse, who is the keeper of the White Buffalo calf pipe that is kept in Greengrass, South Dakota on the Cheyenne River Reservation, a couple of hours ago led hundreds in a prayerful, peaceful march to the new front line. I'm sure as many of your listeners are aware, or at least I are hoping that they are aware, what was called the No Surrender Sacred Ground Camp, the camp that was hastily put together right on the pipeline route, right where our sacred sites are located, was destroyed basically on Thursday by North Dakota law enforcement and the National Guard. Thursday, October 27th, we saw the level of violence, government violence, that they're willing to commit to ensure that this pipeline is completed. We are up against an army. We emerged from our teepee, which is on the northern edge of Ochete-Chicoine camp, where Zimbala, Luzaho, and Wea camp are located now, to a Army tank, a Humvee, militarized Humvee, perched just hundreds of yards away from us on the ridgeline, as well as other law enforcement vehicles. Yesterday I was in jail all day, but one of our campmates reported that there were two of them parked there yesterday, and today there was one, only closer this time. That is what we are living. That is what we are experiencing. Last Saturday, as you were on the air, our people were surrounded, encircled by armed men. And they were closed in upon while they sat there in prayer, while they sat there singing, out on the plains of North Dakota, so-called North Dakota, Lakota Treaty Land. We had over 140 arrested last Saturday. That led to this Thursday when they finally moved on us. And untold number, again, as far as I know, I've heard anywhere from 120 to 150 were arrested on Thursday. And it was a day of courage. It was a day of terror. It was a day that we will all remember, those who were there to see it. And it has only gone on since then. I can't speak to any events that happened yesterday. I was in jail. But I can tell you that the camp is spiritually strong as ever. And since last Saturday, more have come and more are coming. More wood has arrived to provide us warmth and cooking fuel. More teepees are arriving. More supplies are arriving. More people are arriving. And we need that to continue, Kira, more than anything. We need people willing to come here and sacrifice income, sacrifice comfort, to do what needs to be done, to protect water, to defend our treaty rights, to assert that we are sovereign people. We would not want to be a part of any government that uses the tactics that the state of North Dakota and the federal government have used against us up to this point. We see that they are willing to use whatever level of violence is necessary. Rather than chasing people away, it has made us stronger. And I believe that strength is going to continue. I know I am here. No, I am not leaving. I was arrested on Thursday. I was charged with Class C felony. Conspiracy to do harm by fire. When we arrived at the site on Thursday, we found fires already burning along the roadside. I don't know who started them. I don't know why they were started, but they were already burning when we got there. And I'm charged, and everyone else is charged with this conspiracy to endanger by fire. And then also a couple other misdemeanor charges. Public nuisance. I remember it was one of them. I'm proud to be a public nuisance, if that's their idea of being a public nuisance. I want to encourage everyone to continue the prayers, but more importantly than the prayers at this point is material support, financial assistance, and actual presence above all else. If you have a way to come to Ochete Shikome, please come. If you have a way to support someone who needs to come to Ochete Shikome, please help them. This is the time. This is the place. And it is happening now.
Yep, it is. And you know what? It was a little over a week ago that I made a live video and I vowed to come there, and I didn't know how it was going to happen. But things are coming together, and my biggest thing was I had to get taxes paid and my tags and all of these expensive things, and the money has come together. A friend has already given me $100 for gas. Once people know that you're going, they want to support you. So I would encourage anybody who's doubtful to just put it out there that you want to go and that you need support to go, and it'll come. I promise you, it will.
Well, we are so grateful, and we're so happy to hear that you will be coming out here, Kira. And all of us are anxious to greet you and continue what you've been doing ever since the beginning, which is bringing awareness and giving straight facts to your listeners and the rest of the world via your listeners. Setting the record straight. And, your show has been an invaluable tool for spreading good information. And your guests have been extraordinary in their eloquence and in their strength. And proud to be the two women who are going to be on the show with you directly here. My niece, Zephyr, Elise, and my recent good friend, Didi. They both are doing everything they can. And I want to give a mad shout-out to a woman by the name of Elise Nordlund, whose vehicle we are sitting in here just outside of Cannonball. She is from California, and she has been here for a couple months and providing incredible support materially, financially, and spiritually, being strong for all of us and providing whatever she could. She is exemplary of hundreds of people in camp, and thousands who have come and had to leave for whatever reason. It is people like her, it is people like you, it is people like Didi and Zephyr that are going to continue this struggle with us and help us to win this ultimately. We are down to a point where it is going to take either supreme sacrifice or extraordinary intervention to stop this black snake. But I believe we will do it. I believe we can do it as long as people continue to come, as people realize that they are needed here. If they feel that call, answer that call. We need people to answer the call. We need warriors. We need people to support warriors in camp. You know, when you come home from jail, there's nothing like a hot meal waiting for you. There's nothing like coffee waiting for you. There's nothing like a hug from a relative, telling them they love you, telling them they're proud of you. That's what we need. And if you can do it, do it.
Thank you. Thank you. I've seen tremendous support from the tribe, which is another really wonderful thing, because, you know, the people and the tribal leadership don't always match up. But for the Cheyenne River and the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, the government and the people are one right now and working together. The both of those chairmen had a press conference today, and they were informing us of the things that they're dealing with on their end, as far as all of the literal and figurative roadblocks that they are running into in dealing with the federal government and the state government. And one thing I would like to put out there is that the emergency management law that they're using to bring in bully cops from other states is not the intention of the law at all. And the governor declared a state of an emergency in order to activate that law. But natives asserting their treaty rights is not a state of emergency. So that, I'll call bullshit on that, them using that. And it should be challenged legally.
We are in a time, yes, absolutely. And I'm sure that the tribal attorneys are at work on that. But we are at a time now in this country where peaceful, prayerful protest is characterized as a riot. Mm-hmm. You are seeing the suppression, indeed the destruction of the First Amendment. And that we do have the right to peacefully assemble. We do have the right to petition for redress of grievances. All of these are being denied to us by North Dakota declaring any gathering of more than a couple Indians a riot. Right. It is the twisting of their own laws to suit their own purposes, the way it has always been since the founding of their country. Mm-hmm. And it is exposing, again, the relationship between government and industry, government and corporation. And hopefully millions will awaken to this being the prime example of government and industry working hand in hand to destroy natural resources, to destroy the environment in the name of profit. We need people to awaken to this and to respond to it.
It's all of our jobs.
Yes, and from what I understand, the president met with Harold Frazier, chairman of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, earlier this week. And our chairman expressed disappointment with the meeting, and the president insisting that the process that has already started needs to play itself out. And I am hopeful that is posturing by the president to where publicly he can maintain this neutrality and letting the courts do what they must and letting the various government agencies do what they must when it comes to easements, when it comes to federal law being followed. But that they will continue to drag their heels as long as possible, granting that, privately, that is what is at work here. That,
right.
The Department of Justice, the Department of Interior, and the Department of the Army will not issue these easements in 2016. And that will delay the pipeline without there having to be supreme sacrifice. And I know that our people are willing to do what is necessary. They've already demonstrated it in the face of hundreds of armed men and women in militarized armored vehicles We've already shown our courage. We've already demonstrated our spiritual strength in confronting that type of violence and confronting that type of force. And we will continue to, because we are spiritually strong, because we are nonviolent. You know, we joke about things as best we can. You know, the birds above the air, our camp calls them Charlie. You know, there was an old episode of the TV show MASH. And there was this wayward North Korean pilot one time who was trying to bomb the 4077 military hospital. And he'd show up every day at 5 o'clock, and they even started wagering on how close he'd get to the target. They called him 5 o'clock Charlie. And that's kind of what we call the birds around us. There's 5 o'clock Charlie. Now that's just been put down to Charlie. And with their constant, you know, when I got back to camp, it felt good to go to sleep with that plane again. Right in the middle of the night, all night long. We've got helicopters, we've got planes. It's constant. You know, and the front lines are just a stone's throw over a hill from us, and illuminated at night. And just there's searchlights all night long. There's constant movement, and then our people doing what we can to peacefully resist. But we're up against the United States Army. Mm-hmm. That is all there is to it.
Yep.
But we are continuing to resist in a good way, and I know that we will do that as long as it takes. And here, I feel I've said enough now. I don't have a whole lot else to say.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.
Okay, and I will see you soon. And thank you to all the listeners. And again, a personal appeal to your listeners that if you can provide material support, if you can provide financial support to the camps, and there are links all over Facebook and social media to do that. But more importantly, if you can be here personally, if you can make the sacrifice to make the trip, please do so. And I thank all your listeners for at least listening.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk to Didi next.
Yep, you bet. I'm handing the phone to her now.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Didi. Welcome back to the bridge.
Thank you.
You have had quite a week. Do you wanna do a little timeline for us and start with last Saturday and how things sort of escalated and tell us the finer points of everything that's happened? Are you able to do that?
I'm usually able to do that, but I'd hand it over to Zephyr for that timeline.
Okay.
And I'll say that, do you want me to do that now, or do you want to still talk to me at this point?
I'll still talk to you, and we'll get to the timeline later.
Okay. Because for me, it's gotten to the point where I think probably in the last 4 nights I've had 3 hours sleep maximum. Mm-hmm. And I'll have to tell you, like when I did the front line, what I'll call my real front line for the first time 2 days ago, when I was standing less than 3 feet away from this military line, that was the first time for me. And I was treating people the other day that I was with a doctor there at Rosebud, and it was PTSD. Yeah. And I am a nurse, and I realize what that is. Well, Kira, 2 nights ago, I was suffering from PTSD. I was absolutely heartbroken, and my worldview was just smashed to smithereens. I was walking around going, this can't be the United States of America. I don't understand this, you know? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's physically and emotionally been like an assault. And I am praying, and I go for prayers, and I am doing everything I can to stay spiritually strong. And today, when Avril was speaking, I mean, there's always tears, but it sustains me, and the hugs from the people, you know, that's what's getting me through this, is when you're at camp and when you're on the front lines, you know, this is a world tribe. This is a family, and I would not go past. I stood that close the whole time because as a nurse, as a human being, I want to protect, and I just didn't even consider my own self, because at that point when you're with so many people, if you are strong enough to be that front person, should anything go bad, that's where I found myself. But I was absolutely terrified at what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It broke me. It really did. You know, I wasn't expecting my heart to be broken like that.
Right.
You know?
And I will tell you, as someone who was watching the live feeds, it broke me too. It really did.
I spoke to the same few officers that I just kind of felt like they were listening, because they can't look at you. And I smudged them and I told them, you know, I forgive you. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry. You have bosses that are making dangerous, horrible decisions that put you across from me. You know, this was my narrative. I was saying I'm a human being, and I told them I'm a nurse. If anything goes bad and you get hurt, and I looked at the guy and he looked me right in the eye, and I said, my eyes will be the eyes you see as I'm trying to put you back together. Know that I'm here as a human being. What are you doing? You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really good live streamer out there who captured some good footage on Thursday. A young Paiute guy, I don't know how to say his name, Asta, I think. Asta, I don't know. But anyway, he was talking to the officers as well during the live stream, and he was saying, you know, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. You belong protecting your people back in your state. Where are your badge numbers? We have a right to know your badge numbers. You have them covered up. You know, your wives are watching you right now. There's 40,000 people watching you. And they didn't respond at all. For themselves, it's amazing how frightened they are when they're the ones with the guns. It's incredible to me.
Some of them, they don't look at you for more than a split second. And I said, I know you're not supposed to look at us, because then your heart really will connect with the fact that we don't have any weapons, and we're here to try to save everybody's water from being contaminated. You know, the fact that you stand there with these weapons, you know, is incredible to me. I just was saying, I don't understand this. I said to them, I'm a single mom from Toronto with a 13-year-old boy. And I said, I've been in Toronto where I've needed help from the police because I was downtown, an issue happened or something, and I felt threatened. And I always had a quick response, and I felt safe. This is to serve and protect. I said, I'm a nurse. I always care for other people's well-being. That's what I do, but I'm also human, and so are you. And I looked at them, and I looked around, and I cried, and I said, this is scaring me more than anything in my life, and I want to walk over to you and say, you got to help me, and I want you to protect me, and I don't understand why you're standing there. I don't get this. You know, I'm scared. You're scaring me, and you're supposed to be protecting us. And they looked at me, and I saw people in the second row, even there were a couple guys, and I have badged, I think it's 537, Hennepin County. This is what this man did, because I was there for like 4 hours as they were inching us back, and one of his people beside him yelled and came to like push me, and he didn't look at him, but he said, no, really loud. And then he leaned towards me, and I leaned towards him just a little, and he whispered in my ear, Didi, stay close to me. You'll be fine.
Wow. Yeah.
Badge 537 from Hennepin. But my sister came, and I said, you know, there was Wisconsin there, and I said, we have an older sister in Wisconsin. I said, this is my baby sister. Lavina came up screaming because she knew I was right at the front. And she was already injured, and she came up and stood with me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was just, this is, I don't know, Kira, you know, I don't have words. Usually I have words, but my heart is just pounding, you know? even talking about it.
Yeah.
And we're all getting sick. We're all kind of feeling under the weather because of the stress. And then it changed. It was when we were out there. It was beautiful. It was like summertime. And when I drove up to the front lines, every time so far an eagle has flown by, and this one flew by and did a hard left. Almost my spirit felt like it was saying to me, "We're here. Go, we're here." And then when everything went bad and the pepper spray and the blasts and everything happened, a herd of buffalo came charging right up, hundreds of them. And we all, when we were feeling so defeated because we were being pushed back and there was violence and they were taking people away, we all looked and everybody was wopila, like yelling and leeing, and all of a sudden you look and the buffaloes came en masse. They know, and it made us feel okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Beautiful.
The animals are telling us we're with you.
We want clean
water. What I don't
too.
like going on, what I don't like hearing is this. Last night, 2 boys that I know came and talked to me. They're horse runners, right? And they scout at night. And I'm telling you, they're not even 25. And they go bareback. And they go up on the hills because we know dapple workers are on 4x4s, right? He told a story where they came with the helicopter. It's a new, littler helicopter, a black and white one. It's military, but smaller, so it can really maneuver tightly. They were less than 20 feet above these 2 kids on a horse, going down at them, right? Circling and going down to try to scare the horses and get close to them. And then the dapple guys came and did circles with 2 4x4s. And they're in the middle of nowhere on their own, these 2 kids, scouting, and they sprayed mace at them, but didn't realize the helicopter propeller was so low because they were doing these maneuvers where they go down close to them to scare them, and the mace blew back at the guys on the 4x4. So the 4x4 left. The guy driving the last one was the only one there, and he was maced so bad because it blew back on him that he couldn't see. And so one of the kids jumped off the horse and ran towards him. He ran away, got in the other one, and they took off. And I just looked at them and I said, "How did that feel?" And he said, "Well, we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to hold the lines, and these guys try to take people on the outskirts at night." And I said, "What did you do?" They go, "We ate their supper." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, they must have been bringing supper back because they had all this food. So we sat there and ate their food and went back." And I said, "This just happened?" He said, "Yep." I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "I'm great." And I said, "You know, the other thing that they said is there was live rounds. The dapple workers are using live rounds."
Jesus.
And the tow truck driver and the red car that pushed that guy who was going towards main camp 2 days ago when I was at front lines is a hero. They're both heroes because they smashed that car. The guy jumped out. All the boys got around and got him backed into the water. He had an MA or an MR-15 with live rounds and a 9mm, and they got his truck, but they have his security badge. He works for Dakota Access Pipeline. What was he doing racing towards main camp like that? You know?
Yeah.
My fear is the dapple because they do not seem to have rules of any kind, and they're not rubber bullets. I mean, this is insanity, and I don't know why, with our footage that we have, and we have confirmation, the BIA came in en masse, and that made us feel so good. Our boys stopped that man going to camp, and BIA came in, and we could see the lights, and they took him. But it's confirmed, dapple.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear.
And he was disguised as a water protector. That's the other part. Yeah. Is that they're trying everything they can, because I mean, look how long it's been since this thing started, and not one weapon. They've not found one weapon in camp, ever. So they don't have the right to keep treating you guys like you have weapons. Because there's no probable cause. Nobody has a weapon. They don't have a right to keep strip searching you because they haven't found any contraband on any water protectors. So they don't have a right to have that suspicion as well. But there's
chairman of the tribe had his braid gone through, and that interview showed with Amy Goodman. He showed them his braid is so thin. They're looking for weapons in the thinnest braid of the chairman of the tribe. It's ridiculous. And in Bismarck, I have friends who live in Bismarck for years, and he told me his white friends are calling each other going, what's going on? And we picked up a girl in Bismarck to take her back to, she lives in Cannonball, and they've been stopped every time they go in just for being Native. And the people are saying so. The non-Natives are saying, wow, they're stopping every Native without cause. It's racial profiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And nobody believes that until it happens to them. You know?
And the farmers out here, that blockade, right? On 134, the farmer helped. He's so angry at the government that he's helping with everything. He's disgusted.
Good. We're hearing a lot of reports of support from local people who are disgusted by the DAPL workers, and of course support from people like Jesse Jackson and Mark Ruffalo, and we saw a live stream on Wednesday of Jesse Jackson stopped at a army checkpoint, basically, show us your papers, Nazi America. And he's calling the White House from the roadblock saying, basically WTF Obama, WTF Obama, like this is,
that day that Jesse was there on site, I felt completely safe. And so did everyone else, just because who he represents. And he's got a lot of connections, and he's been doing this a long time. I mean, we're talking human rights now. We're talking civil rights. I mean, they are just mulling over without regard for every single law and constitutional right and international rights. It's very frustrating to be here and to know about our rights and to bear witness to potential tragedy unfolding when you know in your mind and heart and soul it's not right. I came here with the okay of my 13-year-old to change the world and told him we can go against big oil with our voices. But I have to call him daily, and I don't want him scared. But he's scared. And how dare the U.S. government scare my only boy? Where is the morality? We're dealing with, this is what big money, oil, is the greed factor here. It has become good versus evil, bottom line. And the sad thing is, I feel for the people who are holding that line on the military side, because they're just like us. This is their job, their livelihood, And they've pitted them against us. And I cried when I crossed the BIA checkpoint this morning because we were going to the front lines. And, you never know when I'm a nurse medic. You have to be at the ready. And I just looked at them and I was emotional. I started to cry and I said, just tell me this. You know how crazy things can get down there. I go, you can't come and help us, can you? And they looked at me and they said, no, we can't. And I looked at them and I said, we need your help. I said, but you can't, right? And they're like, no, we can't. And they feel horrible because they're with us. We've been told in solidarity. They're with us, but they are not allowed to step foot to defend us if it comes down to it, because I asked them, and they said, no, that is not their directive. And it pains me. It really does, because they want to. Kira, guy's willing to go on camera to get that out. He said, Didi, I will do it. His boss knows he's BIA here. There are wonderful people, but their hands are tied. Probably like at least 60% of those people on that front line from the military, they had to keep changing them out because we were talking to them, and it was getting to them. And the minute they felt that, the boss would come and just pull them out and switch them with somebody who, there were guys there that looked very ready, willing, and able to do what has to be done, like wanting it to do it. So that's very frightening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No moral compass there. And
the other day, the 21-year-old, when they were corralled, I treated her, and I took her to Rosebud. She was trying to help a 9-year-old because he got corralled with the adults. They were running from the front lines, and they corralled like 35 of them. There was a 9-year-old boy, and he was screaming because he was so traumatized. He was terrorized. And she tried to help him because his ma didn't get caught. And so she was holding back, and she was screaming, let him go. His mom's there. Let him go. He's scared. And when she went to go walk in front of him, she said the biggest guy, it was National Guard who threw their boots on them that day. And you know what? She had bruises everywhere on her legs. I said, that was him kicking you? She said, yeah. He was so big, and she was so traumatized. And they broke her hand in 3 places with a baton, and she was holding her arm across her face. He was going for her face for defending a child. Wow.
That's horrible.
She was right on the front lines the next day. By day 3 of front lines, I saw her, and I took her to the doctor at Rosebud. We fixed her up, but she was so PTSD that I made her go to bed. I said, please. We gave her an herbal tea, a sedative tea. She needed to sleep. She didn't sleep for 3 days. She was up at front line. She kept going back, traumatized, but wanted to help.
Yeah.
This is what our youth are going through here. Protecting a child, getting beaten. And she was on the front lines 2 days ago with me. Guess what? I saw her that night. They beat her with the baton on her cast.
Jesus.
You know?
Yeah.
People need to know we need people here in numbers. And they are coming. We see, Kira, that it's busy in camp. This isn't just a weekend. We're here for the weekend. We've put calls out. I've been begging. If you can get here, get here. If not, rally in your cities. I've seen beautiful rallies. They're screaming and yelling. Even in like St. Paul, Minneapolis, Toronto. I saw LA. I'm sure you know more because I just could see for a few seconds.
San Francisco.
Start telling. Yes.
Yeah.
Close the streets. Close down things. Go to the bank. Go to TD. Go to Citibank. Shut it down. Cause that to happen in solidarity if you can't come. If you can, do it. Just get in your car, pack a few things. We will be happy to see you.
Yes.
It's now. It's now. That's what you need to tell people. It's now.
Now's the time. So, what are tribal police? What are tribal police doing during these actions? What is their role? What is their directive? Do you know?
Well, right now, checkpoint only. Are you talking BIA?
No, the tribal,
yeah.
the actual tribal police. So,
Kira, I haven't seen any of them. Just so you know.
Okay.
And I'm looking every time, so I don't know where they are. I suppose they're around, but I'll tell you something. BIA comes to, like, if we're up at the casino doing our technical stuff, that's where they come, you know, and pick up people and things like that, right? I've seen them. That's where I met the BIA guy who wants to be out here really bad. He's the one who's ready to go on camera or do an audio. No problem.
And
because the BIA wants people to know that they are rooting for us. They're open about it. They're overt about it. And that day that guy sped in Flag Road at a high speed, camp was very worried to call BIA because it means we have to let BIA in. And that one BIA guy who lives here, he's a white guy, he's been here for 6 years and has a wife and 5 children and has been adopted by the people here. All they radioed is they said, it's Brian, it's okay. He's one of us. He lives with us. So the 2 security at the front had no problem letting him come screaming in with the lights on to save us a bad situation. But the minute they knew it was him, because Brian said, I know the 2 front guys at security, right? Do you see that? We can trust them because the narrative from years ago is, oh, no. Be wary of BIA, right? BIA is with us to the extent that they can be, okay? And they are there. So it's a beautiful sort of story, even though there's an irony at play here.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I know, I have some friends that are either former law enforcement or current law enforcement, and they're horrified. They've never seen anything like it. They can't believe that it's actually happening when they see these live feeds. And so there is a contingent of former and current law enforcement who are like, hey, this is way out of our norm of what we're supposed to do here. And so that's happening. You know what
I'd love to see on that, Kira? Those guys going outside of Morton County and saying, we are former or current, we don't like this, standing in solidarity with us outside of the jail. Get the word out. If any one of them's willing to talk about it, ex-military or ex-police, I have a feeling after yesterday, day before yesterday, I do believe that a few of them at the very least are calling in sick because they don't want any part of it.
Yeah. Well, I may have a former FBI agent who's willing to publicly, he's already said it on his own Facebook page and a couple of other posts, that he's totally against it as a former law enforcement.
When I catch up on sleep, I can try to do a live feed, audio, video with this fellow from here because that story needs to get out.
Okay.
He wants to tell it.
Okay. And so
it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I don't think people really realize just how outside the norm this sheriff of Morton County, Sheriff, what is the sheriff's name now of Morton County?
Kyle Kirchmeyer.
Kirchmeyer, right.
Kyle Kirchmeyer.
And Laney is his operations manager, so he's
I'm so upset. I was born in Cass County. It's disgusting.
They both lie as easy as sort of breathing. I mean, in these press conferences they have, it's just blatant lying. No.
I know. I met 2 lawyers that came in from New Zealand, 2 girls that specialize in this sort of, because we do want to follow through with charges against them, but they're very high-level charges, as they should be. Human rights, to name one. But they flew for a day and a half from New Zealand to here for 2 days, and they're leaving. But what they're trying to do is help with legal, but see what they can do to take away. And they have international lawyers. They are coming. And if they're not here, they're throwing down somewhere else. We are connecting. And that's also, if anyone out there knows of anybody, family, friend, neighbor, that has this kind of specialty and is, somebody they really know would maybe get into this and help, make that call. Just do it. because you can do that. You don't have to be here, because the type of charges that are being wielded towards the protectors are absolutely incredibly unjust. And we know that, but we also need help in terms of the teams of people. If we have people that can also, because after this is done, I've said to many people, you know, Kirchmeier and Laney, both of those guys, do they really think that what they're doing is right? And do they really not understand? Has someone not taken them aside and said, you guys, you may get through all this, but what you've done, it's on video, there's witnesses. The lawyers that can handle this will come forward, and the charges against them, it may not be for a year or two, but they're valid, and they will come. I don't think they have a clue. This is ignorance at its worst. You know, they just don't have the breadth of understanding of what they do and what it represents. They just see what's in front of them. And I have to say, I'm generalizing because I know a lot of fine Norwegian North Dakotans, but here's the deal. If you scratch just under the surface, you will bear witness to the racism, and it is alive and active in Bismarck especially. And it pains me because I'm half Norwegian. My own aunt lives here, has basically blocked me, my sister, my brother, and my nephew from Facebook. I'm losing family over this, close family. It just is incredible. I don't get this, you know. But then I have to remind myself, you know, we were the token brown kids in a white town because my grandpa was Erling Stokes. So we were token. Right? Well, now it's coming out, and there are a lot of people who want the natives to stay quiet and stay on the reses and stay out of their business. And they don't like this, and they're getting more angry. And this is what frightens me.
I'm sorry you're losing family.
It was appropriate. Well, my child's father texted me today because I can't get internet easily, and it was big letters, and he said, I have had enough. You can't even call me when I call you. I explained to him the situation, but he saw I was on front lines, you know, and he was so upset, and when he gets scared, he gets angry, and he said, that's enough. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm doing, but I'm going to deal with things here, and I know what that means. He's going to go for custody for my child because I abandoned him. So that's what I'm dealing with on top of this, but I'm not leaving. But I'm sorry my child has to go through this. That's not right. But people get emotional, they get angry, and they don't understand. He's afraid that he's going to lose his child's mother over this. You know? It's real. It's real. So we do need people. You don't have to go on the front lines if you come. You can be in camp. And we hold off the front lines as long as we can. And there would be time, I would think, for people to leave if that ever came to pass. You know? So please come. But there are people who are willing to come for front lines. I got an email from somebody in Alaska saying, we have a bunch of people from Alaska. We are coming. And then the Northwest Territories, we're all banding together, and we should be there by at the latest Saturday. So we're talking Iqaluit, Tlingit, Haida. Those are the few of the names they called. And then the ones from Alaska. They said they would go north and south in terms of front lines to hold back, right? And help in camp. So now we need you, warriors and people who just want to protect water. We will be happy to see you. And that's pretty much, Kira.
And next, we'll get Sheriff Kirchmeier reelected? No, kicked out. There'll be a different sheriff.
Said, why don't we economically sanction Bismarck? Why are we spending any money there? We really shouldn't as a part of this.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And from what I hear, there are a few businesses that are supportive, and people put it out there who they are, and share that information so that you guys can give them business and know that it's going to somebody who supports you.
That's the one. I still want to vet the ones that are with us, because the source I heard from would be someone from out here who has hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend, and it's not me. So it could be they're with that person because they know they're throwing down lots of money, right? I want to vet them myself and see if they're real, or if it's just because big dollars are being spent. You know?
Gotcha.
I am under the, I kind of feel like, you know what? We've taken enough from Bismarck and the propaganda on the news. We gave them interviews. They cherry-picked. They've sent their youngest neophytes out. Bo is one of them. I know him. And they don't know what they're doing, honestly. And I'm being very kind, and I feel bad saying that, but it's the truth. They're frightened out there. They shouldn't be there. They're kids.
Yeah.
And then they go back, and I'm sure their editors don't even let them look at the footage, and they take what they want. And that's how it goes.
Yep. That is how it goes. It's pretty pathetic.
That's our local news. Yeah.
And this is what's this is what I've experienced since Thursday in terms of what's going on online and the narratives that are getting spread. And I've been approached on several occasions by people who seem to be sort of alt-right, nincompoops who want to encourage people to get violent, and they're saying things like, well, it's time to fight back now. What are you guys doing? You're not fighting back. How come you're just letting them beat you up and stuff like that? And sort of trying to make people feel shame at having stayed nonviolent, when actually you should feel pride that you had that kind of spiritual strength and composure to stay nonviolent under those situations. I mean, I saw footage of people praying while they beat the crap out of them. That is to be commended. So I would encourage people who to really basically block all those people. Get them off your page, out of your life. They're simply armchair warriors that don't know what it's going to take to actually win this thing. And the nonviolent component of this is absolutely essential. There's no way around it. We can't be partially violent. We can't.
Strength.
Yes, that's everything. And it's the only thing that will work. And people who aren't native, or who aren't of color don't understand that, natives can't take over a place armed without severe consequences. They're not going to get off on charges like the Bundy folks are, or did. So trying to turn it into that is never going to work. And for militia people who are out there trying to say, we'll come support you, we're bringing our guns, don't bother. Just don't bother, because that's, it's absolutely essential for you to remain nonviolent when you go there, and to leave your guns at home. Because if something does happen, the only guns that they will find will be police guns. Stick around for the second hour. We're going to have Zephyr Elise. Thank you, Didi. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the second hour of The Bridge with Kira. We are discussing the resistance, the indigenous-led resistance movement against the Dakota Access Pipeline. We have guests today. We've talked to Nuŋpa, and we've talked to Didi, Banerji, and now we're about to talk to Zephyr Elise. Are you there, Zephyr? Hello?
Hear me now.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Welcome back to the bridge.
Thank you for having me. I'm
It's
here
really-
doing phone yoga to get reception.
Oh God, that's terrible. I'm kind of doing the same thing, but I'm in a good place. So, it's working out so far. Are you in a place where you could break down the timeline of events from last Saturday, and just to give people an idea how things sort of went down and got to the place where it was on Thursday?
It's been a week. Let me tell you, it's been only 1 week, and it feels like a lifetime. So, as your readers or your listeners might remember, a statement I gave you, I think you read, trying to give a narrative of what had happened on Saturday. We went out as usual with, the sunrise ceremony and getting those blessings for the relatives going to the front lines. And, when the calls come in, a lot of us gather to do ceremony and are willing to go wherever, the calling is, and we don't necessarily know where. We don't necessarily know who has organized, if it's been organized. We just know that a call's been put out, so we answer. And this time it happened to be on the pipeline site that is nearest to where the original actions happened, on a place now called Sacred Ground Camp. So folks marched up there. We had, elders and women and a few youth, in fact, a few of the folk from the youth council marching up. Others met up with them. And we had another short prayer. And then we marched into the pipeline, and, it felt like any other actions. This is the first time these kind of coordinated events, going onto the pipeline, going to go pray, going to lay down some songs and, do some dance, or just have the people, be standing in prayer. So it felt like any other Saturday. And as the action went on, it was very evident once we finally hit the amount of militarized police presence that this wasn't like any other day, that there was definitely going to be more force. For the first time, I've been now here about 37 days in total. I've only missed 2 actions in those times. And all the other actions, the police presence was less. This time, there were way more police vehicles. There was more armored personnel carriers. There was just absolutely a show of force. And as our group, we ended up getting separated, and a big contingency continued into a field to go pray, for these desecrations and for this, giant swath, this trench being dug and harmed and ripped open of our ancient grandmother Earth. That was the intention, and we got separated. Folks went out. Very few of us, there's maybe about 30, stayed behind. The police presence blocking us off and separating us was very, there were more personnel, and it was very firm. These were men with automatic rifles across their chest, tear gas canisters attached to their belts, in the presence of armored carriers, definitely saying, do not touch the water, do not cross the water. You will be arrested, but they're holding guns as they're saying you'll be arrested. So there was definitely more threat and more threat of violence. And, many of us did what we do. We still sang the songs, and something told me to drop to my knees in prayer on a bridge facing 14 cops. And all the melees going. And, I was praying for everything I could think to pray of. And I was praying in ways, to ancestors that I don't even know if they hear me, because we don't speak the language, but I was hoping that spirit language was speaking. Mm-hmm. And in those prayers, in that prayer time, they came and they showed me. They said, come here. And all of a sudden I was kind of looking down over everything, and they showed me what was happening. But more than that, they showed me the hearts of what we were dealing with. And there was anger, and there was this need for to harm us and to hurt us and to really show us their power and to show us their might. And I could sense that when I was in the spirit space. And then something said, come here. And I opened my eyes. I opened those spirit eyes, and I looked, and I was way far up over everything. And it's like almost like time was a river. And as I watched in that river, I saw what happens if the black snake crosses. And that scared me, honestly, for that day. And there was a lot that day that should have scared me. But what I saw, if that black snake crosses, and the destruction it's going to bring, and the harm and the sheer devastation that we cannot even imagine. it hurt. And I came back, something said, go back. And there's a relative singing a California song, a really powerful California spiritual song. And so I sang as I was coming in, and it said, okay, go. So I got up to leave, and I climbed back the steep hill, only to hit the ridgeline and watch everything I had just seen when they said, this is what's happening now, play out in front of my eyes. Armored people coming at our women. There were youth. There were elders out there, all unarmed with nothing but banners and songs and smudge and feathers. And they kettled them, and it looked like something that all of us have blood memory of, of these invaders with guns and tanks and ATVs surrounding our people and saying, oh, if you go back, you'll be safe. But when they try to go back, they were tossed off and kettled in. And then watching the tear gas be deployed and listening to the people scream in pain and knowing there was nothing we could do. We tried, a contingency of us tried to gather together to gather some of the forces back to us. And once again, we were met with machine guns, with automatic weapons held at the ready. We saw long-range rifles being aimed at our relatives who were trying to walk along the perimeters to see if they could find the relatives and find them a way to safety. And it hurt to feel so helpless. To see people that you care about being threatened or being harmed for doing nothing more than wanting to pray and to stop this thing that's going to hurt all of us. You know, they say there's us or them. It's just all of us. We are all related, and we are all going to suffer. If we don't have clean water to drink, if we don't have water to feed our crops and our food animals. And to see these harsh battle lines drawn, and to watch and witness and watch our people finally get to run back, and they ran because of what they had witnessed. It was an attack. And I was on a ridgeline, and I watched that attack. And the only thing I could do was keep singing, keep praying, trying to keep everybody in a spiritual protection and asking the ancestors for help. Because what do you do when you're armed with sage and feather against a man with live rounds in an automatic gun, in a long-range gun? And Uncle, as always, was trying to protect those in the rear, so he handed off the Nuŋpa grandmother, very fierce, veteran of, you know, from segregation on, the Vietnam War on. She has been front line and really throwing down for the people. And, you know, she didn't want to go. You know, she felt the calling to be there, but Uncle and I both felt that something was getting ready to come and it was going to be bad. So as I'm escorting her, we start hearing people run. They're coming, run. And I look back over, and they've climbed the steep hill, and they've started making a charge at our people in the back. And meanwhile, we have people running around the fields, going back to the road, and we have people who are hanging around to see if our relatives were going to be okay, just charging up. And there was otherly abled folks. There was elders. There's another elder. And we're trying to hurry everybody along in a safe way, but we're 2 miles away from the highway. We have no way to get extracted. There was no ATV support. So those who could ran. Many stayed behind. A lot of young warriors stayed behind to protect those who couldn't run, to protect those who were too tired, who were too young or too elderly. And I'm proud to say that grandmother that I was trying to haul out of there, some young relatives came to help her. And when it looked really desperate, a very large relative put that Uŋpa on his back and ran with her up a hill to safety, to get her to an ATV that could put her on, to haul her to a truck that eventually extracted her all the way out to safety. But it was a coordinated event of a lot of people who didn't know. None of us knew exactly what was going on, just that they were starting to disperse mace in, you know, like fire extinguishers to try to get a wide swath, that, you know, there was a lot of guns drawn. There was a lot of guns pointed. And there was armored vehicles now running and revving up on our rear guard as we were exiting the way they said we could. If we returned the way we came to our vehicles. So to me that day it showed that the lies are now very visible. You cannot trust what they say, because when they decide to take people, they will take them. And many of our rear got taken, along with the relatives that got kettled and harmed out in that field. There's
We did see
This is
footage of it. And what we saw from some of the people that were running was that they were forced into the water, and they had to run through the water to get away. So I'm not sure if that was like on the other side from where you were, of people who had escaped. But it was terrifying.
So there was a creek, and there was one long way around the field, or there was a shorter way through the water. And by the time some folks were able to break away from the main group, they came back through the water. And it was terrifying, and we were trying to tell people to go and just trying to get people out of there as fast and as safely as possible. And eventually, as we were making it closer to the road, vehicles, trucks, anything that could make it on, a kind of off-road conditions started going in to extract the last of our people to safety. But it felt very much, at one point I told Uncle to run. I have a boot on. I have, 3 sprains and a stress fracture. So I didn't think I could run anymore. As I told Uncle to go ahead of me. And it really did. I thought I was going to be taken, and that fear of not knowing, and that fear of, like, what if this is the moment when suddenly they decide we're not running enough and they decide to do more physically aggressive things. Or if they decide that they're just tired and they're really fed up with dealing with us, and they decide, to use batons, or they decide to disperse, a canister tear gas, or, creator forbid, live fire. It felt so uncertain, but it felt so dangerous. It did not feel like any other action, any other, prayer that we've tried to do. The mask came off. The happy, we're just here to kind of keep the peace, and was completely off. And instead I saw the black dogs that want to bite at our flesh and taste our blood. And that was a difficult day. And so we regrouped, and Sunday came together, and there was prayers near that site, and the camp turned out, mostly as one. As many people as could showed up, and we sang prayer songs, and the Sacred Eagle came and circled over our gathering. And Uncle and I left because we were still trying to recover from the day before. And when we arrived back in camp, there was now sacred ground camp erected, about 10 teepees up and tents there close to where the pipeline's going to cross over 1806 and head toward the river. And it was tense. From Saturday through the early part of the week, Monday, Tuesday, I don't believe there was a whole lot of action, but there was a feeling over a camp that we're now kind of very precariously perched on a razor blade, and it can tip at any point. You feel that they can come, and there was constant, calls out, because folks would see some presence, some police or National Guard presence. Oh, it's coming, they're coming. So a lot of folks, for the next 2-3 days kept kind of running up, thinking that this was it. And there were reports coming in, and reconnaissance pictures of a very large military presence and National Guard presence near Fort Rice. A lot of armored vehicles, a lot of personnel vehicles, a lot of personnel, period. And, anybody who kind of has watched the playbook of, American military actions abroad or here, no, they don't sit for long.
Yeah.
So Wednesday evening, a call came through camp late that there was reports and chatter and intercepted whatever that they were coming to sweep the sacred ground camp that had just been put up on Sunday. So Uncle and I went up there. Other members of our camp went up there, and we sat vigil all night Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and the sun came up. And we figured, well, if they're going to make a move, they would have done it, pre-dawn. So maybe we can go get some food, get some coffee, get a nap. And mind you, a lot of people that are doing the frontline work, a lot of folks who are doing the vigil work, a lot of the folks who were there at, Sacred Ground or the other camp, we haven't really slept since Saturday because the pressure is just on. And this truly is a frontline now. You never know when or where. You just know you have to be ready and on call and on guard. and in prayer, and really doing those ceremonies. So Thursday morning comes, we're back at camp. I've just poured the coffee. Uncle's just gotten some food. Meet everybody right now. This isn't a drill. They're coming. We get confirmation from a comrade. They're coming. They're coming en masse. And by the time we arrive there on Thursday, it is unlike any other scene to date that I have personally witnessed. It was a wall of police from, as far as you could kind of scan. Construction is over on the construction site, and you see the earth movers more into Grandmother Earth, and then just lights, police lights. And then you start seeing the line of guard and cops with riot gear, with all the heavy duty, with the sound cannon, with the armored personnel carrier, with choppers. The choppers in the plane have been relentless in their surveillance. They used to be only like day to evening. Now they're 24/7. They switch out to go get gas and come back. So and that was the tactic on Saturday that definitely made it feel more like a front line, is that the copters kept coming over us. So it felt more intense, what they're doing. And that's continued to now, here's all the airbirds, here's all the ground troops, and then there's us, and there's a fire going. Nobody knows quite what's going on. We're, later getting to the front line, and they just kept saying, we don't want to arrest anybody, fall back. If you go back south to the main camp, and blah, 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 all their promises. And at this point, I'm sorry, but all I hear is a forked tongue. I hear lies, because they've already proven that what they say doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're going to do. And it felt really important to hold that camp and to protect that camp. That camp is now the physical presence standing in between the Black Snake and the sacred waters. So it did feel important to be there. And in the face of that much force, that much threat of force, a lot of things were going on. A lot of people were doing different things. Chinookas were being loaded. Some women relatives were hooked arms and prayers. At one point, people go because they're seeing the land movers near the sacred site, so they go to pray. As they go to pray, the lines are coming, and now I'm seeing, hastily done blockades being put up, barricade being built behind me, and I see some relatives, I see some elder relatives still in between where I was, where their line of force was, that was slowly moving and coming toward camp. And it's like, all right, if I can slow them down even a little bit, give some more people some time to get back to safety, I guess this is what I'm doing now. And so I watched Uncle stand, I watched another brother stand, and I just didn't know what else to do, so I put my arms up and my head up and lifted them to Creator for help. And I watched them hesitate just a little bit to take Uncle, and I watched them really hesitate to take me, but they still took me. And you tell people, it's kind of, I understand the people on the Titanic a little more when the ship is going in and the water's coming up, because that's how it felt. Here we go. And they pull you through a line of cops. And there's more, and there's more, and you see how many deep they are. And as they were pulling me, they were being gentle. I'm yelling, that my uncle is a sick man, and he's yelling the same thing back to them. So they're both treating us a little more gently than maybe they would have, or they definitely did to others. But as I'm being pulled through these lines of cops and this equipment that's steadily going forward, somebody says, I'm sorry. Somebody in that lineup says, I'm sorry. And I couldn't help myself in that moment. I said, then throw down your armor and join us. Here's my thing. Yes, there's a lot of good people out there that might support us, that might wear this uniform, but where are you on the front lines when they're coming for us, when they're threatening our elders, when they're threatening our children, when they're coming with the women? The people I was incarcerated with in jail yesterday were in prayer. 3 sisters on their knees, tobacco up to Creator in prayer when they got snatched, when they got jerked off the ground. I've heard firsthand accounts of male relatives in prayer in a sweat lodge being dragged out in their towels, in their underwear,
Yes.
handcuffed, thrown to the ground, handcuffed, sweat lodges torn apart. These were not only acts of physical force, but these were spiritual violations.
Mm-hmm.
My own medicine bag was taken from me, and they looked through it because it was on the inventory. Carelessly written.
Mm.
That is a personal spiritual violation. It feels like a spiritual rape. I did not consent to people looking into the things that give me spiritual power, but they thought it was nothing more than a bag of rocks. You know, these men are following orders, and they're holding up the empire that is giving them orders. Empire doesn't fall until people say, I'm not going to hold this up anymore. So if there are listeners here who are sympathetic, who have worn or do wear these uniforms and these badges, please step toward us and away from them. We need your help. We need protectors. We need more defenders.
Tell us why that camp was erected, and about it being the treaty camp, the statement of this is actually our land, why it was so important to erect it, and why it's so important for Empire to tear it down.
I am not fully Lakota. I am adopted, so forgive me if I misinform, but it is my understanding that two different treaties, the 51 treaty and the 68 treaty, drew the boundary lines for treaty lands that were to be Lakota lands, to be reserved for Lakota use, to be there for their subsistence and also for their spiritual needs. That line is all the way up to the Heart River just south of Mandan. All the lands that lie to the south of the Heart River are treaty lands guaranteed in those treaties that have since had incursion. Once again, by government, it was a paper lie that never held up, because slowly farmers and ranchers and businessmen and corporate concerns get access, or they're held in trust instead of being given to the indigenous people who are supposed to have access to these lands and control of these lands and conservation of these lands. They're given in conservation to Army Corps of Engineers or other people who can oversee it because it's not being managed effectively. This is the lie they have been telling since those times, to take away and slowly eat out the lands that were supposed to be given as safety in perpetuity for the Lakota Nation. So after our people were attacked on treaty lands, folks in camp felt it was important to exercise. You do not ask for sovereignty, you enact sovereignty. These are sovereign Lakota lands, so a sovereign Lakota camp was put in the way of that black snake in response to them attacking and threatening to attack and those who had been taken on Saturday's action. And it was once again a spiritual camp where deep ceremony is being laid down for forgiveness. This mother is hurting, and we as the Five Finger Clan, all of us are complicit. So we're asking for forgiveness from her. We're asking for her healing. We're asking for her help in stopping this. And that camp was now on the front line to put itself physically in the way of the pipeline reaching the Big Muddy.
Yeah. Yep. So they had to take it down because they are in violation of treaty law. So to assert the treaty rights of the people will, if we keep asserting those treaty rights, it will lift the veil on all of the lies that they've been telling from the very beginning. Maybe I am sheltered, but everybody that I talk to about this, and I make a point of talking to people in my daily life about this, but I don't know anybody that isn't horrified that isn't enraged, and especially after Thursday. Thursday, anybody who saw the footage coming out is totally outraged. So I think that more and more support will continue to come. This is, as Uŋpa tells us, this is just the beginning, and it is. It's just the beginning. And when I come there, I'm not only coming to support, but I'm coming to learn, because we have a lot of black snakes to kill to make this a safe place for all of life that's being destroyed for profit and being destroyed under their interpretation of the law as whenever it fits them. The law that makes it illegal for them to do what they're doing somehow doesn't apply now, but if we keep asserting, it will. And this is going to be probably a pretty long resistance, but very much worth it.
Absolutely a necessary one. And I think, that's a very salient point. And I think people are so horrified because in this country, in this occupation known as the United States of America, there is a dominant narrative that people have rights, and that, if you aren't harming others, then, you're pretty much left to have safety and, happiness and all those fine words and those paper lies that they signed on our sacred lands. And this is really throwing off all those masks, and it's showing the underworkings of money and of oligarchy, of power, of very few people in power really being able to change the laws that they made to work for them and make sure it keeps us from asserting those same constitutional rights. And, this is a time to bring up that the United States made like over 424 treaties, and none of them have been maintained. They have each and every one been broken in one way or another, or completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is an ongoing fight for basic existence for indigenous people as the blood heirs, as the conservators of these lands known as Turtle Island from north to south, across this fake divide, and these names known as America. It's really just ripping off all the niceties and all those layers that have kept many of us comfortable and complacent, and therefore complicit. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard reality for, I just came here from Oakland, and we've been fighting a lot of police brutality and police taking our native relatives and our black relatives and our brown relatives, and the veil has thinned there so that we see that you don't necessarily get due process. You don't necessarily get to eat a burrito in the park without being shot dead by police because they fear for life. Mm-hmm. Or a relative falling asleep in his car and multiple shots through the windshield because he didn't wake up. So in some places there's been ignoring a little earlier, and I think that's what many people can start connecting the dots, that certain money and greed causes others to always be in the crosshairs because we threaten by our very existence.
Right.
And right now, my existence is resistance.
Absolutely. It's the only sane response. The only sane response is to resist. And once you, the thing is that government, the federal government will do what they do, which is death by dragging it out. And all the rules apply to you and none to them. So I'll give you an example. They're making the tribes file for Freedom of Information Act. That takes a long time. And then they redact everything. So you wait forever for these documents, and then when you get them, they're all redacted. And so you can't get the information that you need from them. So we have to continue to change the way that we do things, knowing that they're going to violate their own laws and cut corners and keep us waiting to give us nothing, because that's how they operate. It's the only way they know how to operate. Yeah.
And, a lot of people are outraged and they're like, I can't believe it's going like this, or I can't believe this is how this works. And, this whole system is broken. I keep hearing the whole system is broken. And I keep having to remind people, no, this is the system functioning exactly the way it was meant to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
It is a system of oppression. It is a system of repression and oppression.
Yep. Yes.
And those of us who are here, we have original instructions to conserve and to, oh my goodness, my words are failing suddenly, to conserve and to protect waters, the airs, the silent nations, for the future. And capitalism and the powers that be only know profit at all cost.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, this had to come to a head, and we are watching what happens when these two vastly different ideologies are meeting in one place here at Standing Rock and the world over. This is a struggle that many relatives are fighting all over Turtle Island.
And all over the world. Yeah.
All over the world.
Ireland is listening tonight. We're simulcasting with People's Internet Radio, and they've been fighting for their right to water as well. The corporations are trying to privatize water the entire world over. So once they suck us dry of oil, then water becomes the new oil. They'll poison public water with their oil, and then the few private sources that are left, they will charge immense sums of money for. And they've already made it known, we're going to take your right to water away. We're going to make that a private a private enterprise, which they do, and they take public water to do it somehow legally. And so that is the other part of the veil that is lifting, is that this system is working exactly as it's designed. It's designed to benefit the psychopaths in charge, and it's designed for them to live off of all of our backs, and while destroying lives in the process, while destroying all life. And that's a really, really hard reality to face. It hurts really bad. And I just want to encourage people that are waking up to this reality, that yes, we're complicit, but no, it's not your fault. And there is something that you can do about it today. There's something that you can do about it every day. There are things that you cannot comply to, and you can keep that up. You can keep not complying and keep unplugging from their system and plugging that energy into your own. So,
and speaking up, not wanting to remain silent, like you said, in your day-to-day life. You're talking to people. All these ways are ways that we are resisting. And, it hurts when paradigms shift. It hurts when major growth spurts happen, but this is a necessary moment. And globally, we have to change the way we think about our day-to-day lives if we're going to make a future for the ones coming. We can't just think that science and the modern technology is always going to save us. We have to start thinking about our daily impacts and how to just little ways change, little tiny increments. Maybe not reaching for those plastic products so much. Maybe trying to make things, repair things, as opposed to replace. Maybe not thinking of the world as disposable and all our resources as a commodity that can be used for an infinite amount, and starting to want to, in our daily lives, protecting those resources, those airs, those waters around us. We can all do that wherever we are. And also want to give a huge shout out to our relatives in Ireland who did ban fracking. That really, as we were fighting the KXL here, I remember seeing that, and that gave us, in the Bay Area as we're fighting fracking as well, it really gave us a big boost that it can be done. And so, hands lifted to all those relatives who did that work, and stuck it out. And thank you for the relatives who sent their support to Standing Rock as well.
That's right. And if you can get there, you will be greeted as a relative, no matter where you're coming from. If you feel that call, even in Ireland, get on a plane and come. You will be welcome.
Family's name from Ireland is Burns. We are Burns, the Burns clan. So I look forward to it one day.
There you go. There you go. I do think that it is important that we organize locally, but also nationally and internationally. So we need to focus our resources and protecting our resources at the local level. But we also need to stay organized so that, just like the bully comps are doing, sharing resources between states, we need to share resources with each other as well, so that we can win these battles together.
Relatives who have wood are bringing them in. Relatives who have hay for the horses, relatives who have building supplies, relatives who have food supplies. Help and supplies are coming from nations all across Turtle Island. And, financial support is coming across all over the world. And, hands lifted and much gratitude. And thank you for all that, because we really are figuring out how to support each other, in this fight, and preparing ourselves, making those networks, building those relationships, and renewing those ties, so that as we continue to struggle, like you said, with these black snakes all over, we will each action be getting stronger and stronger.
That's right. And Ireland does have a long history of supporting natives and really identifying with natives. I've often said to Irish relatives that you guys were the pilot project, and then they came to us here after they perfected their genocide. They take your language, they take your religion, and then they take your life. That's how it works, and we're not giving up any of it. So,
do you recognize that there is a deep spiritual wisdom, and that there were very sacred sites there that their invaders came and took, and tore down the sacred groves and covered over those sacred springs, and they did it there, and then they came here, and they've done it here, and they're still trying to do it here. And those seeds, though, our ancestors, they tried to bury our ancestors, as the saying go, but we are the seeds that sprouted from their resistance, from their prayers, from their sacrifices to keep us going. And we are living in a time where we're watching those seeds sprout into fruition of strong relatives across country line and these concepts of nationality line that are holding each other up and standing strong together in battles like the one here in Standing Rock.
For those of you looking to support the Zinkala Luazan and the Wian camp, we've got a Facebook page, and we still need some supplies. You all have gotten 2 of the 4 sleeping bags that you asked for, and then 2 more have been promised. But we still need some winter coats and some boots and things like that. So, and some long underwear, please. So please visit that page. We have the list up there of supplies that we need. I'm getting as many of those items as I can, and also afford to actually get there. And it's all going to work out. I've got it mostly planned out, but I'm still letting the spirits guide me. And I'm just filled with sureness. I don't know how else to put it. I'm filled with sureness of my purpose. In the beginning, when I started to have Uŋpa Nuŋpa tell us things, I think it was this summer, or maybe even August, and his daughter, Tashina Sapaway, she was one of the first of the 5 Lakota women who had stopped had stopped construction that day by jumping the fence, and that really gave a lot of everybody else some strength to follow suit, and ever since then, in the beginning, I knew I wanted to come, but I couldn't imagine coming there without my husband. And then I became so desperate that I started thinking of ways that I could. And by the time I spoke to him, he already knew that I was going and that he would stay and take care of our food sovereignty, animal rescue, bird sanctuary. So he's, shout out to Majikia for being willing to keep the home fires burning so that, I can come out there and be with you.
Black snake killer.
Yep.
Like, folks need to understand that, yes, we need people, and we desperately need people that are willing to come and put their bodies and their freedom on the line to stop this black snake. But those at home who are praying for them, those at home who are taking care of the home and taking care of the kids and taking care of the animals and taking care of all those bits of life that we have to let go of for a moment to be here, that is also resisting this black snake, that is also helping to defeat it. So hands lifted to all those people who are doing those necessary and vital functions as well, to hold down their loved ones and to send their solidarity and to send their loved ones up here to us. And I am so looking forward to seeing you and giving you a big hug. And thank you to the listeners who have been helping us with all the donations. And, we're still trying to gather winter supplies. I'm still trying to figure out if my car has been burnt or if it's just impounded. And if it's burnt, and if it's impounded, that's $800. So, as we're trying to even get our own footing for the next phase of whatever comes, every single day it just feels like the floor drops out and you don't really know where up is. So, but we're here, and both camps are strong, and we're all committed to being here and to seeing this through to the end, and to continue to be in a prayerful, peaceful way to defeat this black snake, because there is only one way through, as I see it, and that is through the support and strength of our ancestors and our spirit. We can't get to their level of violence. Violence only begets more violence.
Yep.
We have to do it another way if we're going to have healing and renewal, and a world that's able to turn and receive the next 7 generations.
Cash.
See what their way does. It's time for our way.
Cash donations. I'm accepting them on my PayPal account, which is send to Valkyria, VALKYRA 1969 at gmail.com, and just make an indication whether you want it to go to gas or supplies or both. Just let me know, and I will put it where you want it to go. And the PO box is also on the Zinkala Uzan site. It's the Cannonball PO box on there. You can send supplies there. You can send gift cards there. And we really, really thank you for your encouragement, and any way that you can support us is greatly appreciated. Because we're not wealthy people. None of us are wealthy people. But we need some wealthy friends right about now. We really do.
I'm looking for some angels. Angels come in all sizes and shapes and locations.
Right.
And we really do. We're truly grateful. Every time I go check the P.O. box for the 2 camps, it just feels like getting a hug from whoever sent. And there's been a lot of packages that come in very anonymously. So anonymous donors, if you're listening, thank you for that love. Thank you for that support. Thank you for that encouragement. There is no too little encouragement. Even a note just saying, hey, rock on, that helps us so immensely.
And
it is, we're facing them, we're facing the weather, we're facing ever-changing conditions out here in all fronts. And so we really do appreciate all the support.
We have Hawk from the station who's joined us here. Hi, Hawk. What's up? You there? I thought I just added him, but I can't hear him. So, okay. Well, he'll chime in whenever he can, but I just added him to the call.
All right, I reset.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, so there's always been this question. As I watch all this go down, and not that I advocate violence in any way whatsoever, but, we have looked at, I'm a history buff. I've looked at this, and of course everybody I know is Native American. I'm not. I'm mostly Syrian. But it's like people want to protect their lands, and people need to protect their lands, and people, that's just the way human beings are. They protect their land and their women and their food sources. And with the Native Americans, for years, for the last, somebody climbed on to this continental shelf. The Native Americans keep trying to make peace. They keep trying to peacefully make things better, peacefully keep things from getting nasty, and I understand that. But, you have, at this point, I'm not abdicating violence, but at this point, you have other people abdicating violence against you.
Right.
And, from my end, I'm an old soldier. When you advocate violence against me, you get it right back in your face. And I have seen things in the last couple of 3 days of what's going on out there that would have, and I have to say, I am hands down impressed at the actual way in which everybody maintained their cool, because I would not have maintained my cool. There would have been serious gunfire coming out of my camp.
Right. And that's the thing that, a lot of people have come at me with that question, sort of like they just don't understand. And I'm like, no, you're coming from the aspect of someone who can get away with that. One gun amongst thousands of Indians would get them all killed. That's what people need to understand. One gun amongst the thousands of them will get them all killed.
Exactly. And, yesterday I saw a video in which one of the security people was actually had a gun. Mm-hmm. The Dakota Access Pipeline people had a gun. So, my aim here is not to up the aggression, up the situation, but it and then when I see some stupid idiot in the video, do not fire your bows and arrows at the police line. Okay, first of all, you only fire the arrows. The bows don't fire. What is this, dart day? And I'm looking at this idiocracy that is going on every single second of this entire situation. And I see peaceful protests, but I see violent affront. Mm-hmm. So, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this, but I'm really kind of thinking it's time that there might be some need for protection.
It's not going to work. This is the reason that there's a commitment to nonviolence, is that it's the only thing that's going to work in this situation. This is a long-standing tradition that we're following. It's the tradition of nonviolence in the name of Gandhi, in the name of Martin Luther King, and in the name of all of our native leaders who have stood up and said, "Hey, we need to do this thing nonviolently." And again, when these bully cops come at people who are praying and pull them out of the sweat lodge, at gunpoint, the veil is lifted every time somebody sees that, and they finally get it. They finally get it.
Yeah, exactly.
What natives have been dealing with for 500 years.
Can I respond here?
Yes, please do. Hang on, Hawk. Let her respond, please.
So what I will say as people watch these videos is the folks with the tanks and the guns are scared. Look in their face. They are scared.
Mm-hmm.
Our unchis, our grandmothers and our grandmothers and our youth and our women and our warriors with their prayers are not scared. This is why we haven't reached for guns, because guns do not make anybody less scared. In fact, all the fear I have seen are in people that are heavily armed. We have righteousness, we have a spirituality, we have ancestors who are holding us up and letting us know that we are loved by 10,000 generations, and our way is the way through. Because if we give into violence, we have given into their way, and part of our spirit has now been taken out. If I go out, when I go out, I want to be a good ancestor. I will remain on this walk to be a good ancestor, and I will not let them take my spirit. My ancestors have kept us together in spirit and in this power for 524 years. I will not let anybody take that now.
Right on.
All right, so here's what I need. Here's what I need as a network and a live stream. I need detailed and accurate live streams, the best I can get out of the area. Me and Kira have both been trying to work on that, and it's kind of been like trying to catch a ghost. And as you know, by watching any ghost shows, it's kind of tough. So, what we need to do is literally document this as it goes down. And I have offered up my entire network at no charge, my entire live stream at no charge. Everything I have here at my extremely expensive keeping up this network thing at no charge to everybody out there at Standing Rock. It's free. It's not charged, and I will do the work. I just need people to get in here and help us get this done.
Well, I'll live stream my ass off while I'm there. How about that? And I did, before the show's over, I need to dispel a rumor that people have been asking me about constantly. Nobody's been killed. There was a horse that had to be put down because he was so badly injured by the DAPL security people. But there was no 11-year-old that was killed. That didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So we need to dispel these types of rumors. And these are the types of rumors that are spread to get people angry so that they do arm themselves. And they've been doing this.
Exactly. And Kara, when you get out there, I will live stream everything you have to think. I just need, here's what I need. And this is why I'm going to do 2 points, and we got a very little bit of time to do it. So you need to let me get this done. But I need you to get out there and report, and I need you to get out there and do it in a very thin way, in which, I understand you're Native American, but we need to do this clean, etc. Because when we went out to Oregon and did that, the very same thing, and we had somebody out there, that footage that we did out there was literally a lot of what got the Patriots released, because we sent somebody out there that did reporting and not agenda. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep, gotcha. Thanks, everyone. I love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot.